The ultimate wedding crash. My billionaire revenge on the perfect ex. Before we dive into this ultimate betrayal and comeback story, hit that subscribe button and the like button. Trust me, you don't want to miss the shocking twist at the end. Part 1. The cream-colored casket. Get ready for the unexpected, because this isn't a romantic comedy. This is the story of how I utterly destroyed my ex-husband, Ethan's perfect wedding, by arriving in a private jet with our twins and simply speaking the truth. The envelope was cream-colored, thick, and expensive. The kind my ex-husband Ethan always said we couldn't afford. But this wasn't a bill, or a foreclosure notice, or another reminder of my financial ruin. It was a wedding invitation. Ethan was marrying Veronica, the woman he left me for 4 years ago, and he wanted me there, to watch, to witness, to see him finally be happy. The enclosed note read, "No hard feelings. No hard feelings for the infidelity, for the divorce, for taking absolutely everything and leaving me with $800 a month and a dismantled life." I stared at that invitation for hours in my cramped apartment in Soho, New York City, while my 6-year-old twins, Leo and Clara, were at school, and my coffee went cold. And then I saw it. The date, July 20th. Our anniversary. He chose the day of our anniversary to marry someone else. It was in that instant I made my decision. I was going to that wedding, but not as he expected. Not as the poor, broken ex-wife he believed me to be. I was going to show him exactly what he discarded. And I had 18 months of well-kept secrets to help me pull it off. My name is Audrey Harper, and this is the story of how I arrived at my ex-husband's wedding on a billionaire's private jet with our twins, and how I demolished his perfect day just by telling the truth. Stay with me, because what came next is something he never saw coming. Part 2. The strategy and the naked truth. The invitation lay on my kitchen counter like a mocking live thing. I finally opened my laptop. The email was still there, the one from Julian, and I still hadn't replied. "Ethan Michael Sterling and Veronica Ann Jennings request the honor of your presence at their nuptial ceremony." My hands trembled. His handwriting, the same script that used to leave me love notes, signed the divorce papers 4 years ago. "Audrey, I know this might be uncomfortable, but I hope you come. The kids should see both their parents moving on, both happy, no hard feelings. Best, Ethan. No hard feelings for the adultery, for the divorce, for keeping everything while I got $800 a month and weekend visitation." He chose July 20th, the day we married 12 years ago. To marry her. I was snapped back to the present by a doorbell ring. A man in a suit, holding a package marked "Confidential." I signed. He handed me the heavy official-looking package and left. Inside were documents, airline tickets, and a handwritten note from Julian. "You don't have to hide us anymore. Let them see you as I see you. You deserve to walk into that room like you own the world, because you do. Always. J." Under the note were legal papers, financial records, bank statements, asset transfers, all under Ethan's name. Money hidden during the divorce, properties in his mother's name. Evidence. Clear, undeniable proof of financial fraud. I collapsed onto the kitchen floor. Julian had been investigating. For how long? Since we met. He had been quietly building a case. Audience checkpoint. If you found this kind of secret evidence against your ex, what would be the very first thing you'd do? Tell me in the comments. My best friend Dahlia rushed over. I showed her the invitation and the evidence. "He invited you to his wedding on your anniversary," Dahlia hissed. "And the no hard feelings note? Is he actually insane?" "I think he genuinely believes it," I said. "Ethan Sterling, the man who never does anything wrong." I explained my secret relationship with Julian Vance, the tech billionaire I met 18 months ago. We kept it hidden because if Ethan knew I was dating someone wealthy, he'd drag me back to court to reduce child support, claiming I no longer needed it. He's been waiting 18 months, Di, I confessed. And I keep pushing back because I'm terrified. What if he leaves? What if he realizes I'm not worth it? What if he's like Ethan? Dahlia took my hand. You are not the problem. Ethan spent years tearing you down, making you small. It was all a lie. He is a liar, a cheater, and a fraud. There is literally proof on that table. And you are questioning if you were interesting enough for him? I dried my tears. I look at that woman in our wedding photo and I don't know where she went. She's still here. She just forgot how to stand up, Dahlia said. I looked at the invitation, then at the evidence. I have two choices. I can take this evidence to court, drag Ethan through hell, and get what I'm truly owed. Or I can show up at that wedding and let him see what he threw away. Those aren't mutually exclusive, Dahlia countered. Do both. File the papers, and while that's processing, show up at his wedding on a billionaire's arm. Show him exactly what he lost. I laughed, a real rusty laugh. Julian sent plane tickets for all of us, a private jet. Dahlia's eyes widened. Your boyfriend has a private jet? And you were worried about not being interesting enough? You hit the interesting lottery. I picked up my phone, opened Julian's contact, and typed, I'm ready. Let's do everything. No more hiding. Part 3. The transformation. The next 2 months were a blur. My lawyer, the fierce Marisol Torres, filed the papers. The reopening of the divorce case with fraud charges was imminent. Ethan and Veronica were in for a nasty surprise, weeks before their big day. The next mission, introducing Julian to the twins. He became Uncle Jay, a funny friend who traveled a lot. He never tried to replace their dad. He just listened. The final transformation. I worked with a stylist. We ditched the lifeless brown hair for brilliant blonde highlights. We found an old, clean-cut emerald green silk dress I'd forgotten about. It doesn't scream money, the stylist said. It whispers Harper property. On July 19th, I looked in the mirror. This woman had scars, yes, but also a quiet determination. She had a lawyer, a man who loved her, and the knowledge that revenge is a dish best served at the altar with an ice-cold smile. Action point. Don't forget to share this video with a friend who loves a good comeback story. Let's get Audrey the view she deserves. The Views Sheet. Part 4. The Epic Arrival. The private jet was silent. Julian's beautiful Challenger 3000 landed near the venue, the Sterling Manor in Greenwich, Connecticut. I stepped out in the emerald dress and designer sunglasses. Julian, impeccable in a tailored navy suit, offered his hand. Ready for your debut, Ms. Harper? It's time they saw what they lost, I corrected, squeezing his hand. They arrived just in time for the cocktail hour. The tables were filled with Ethan's friends and business associates. The air froze when 2 black SUVs pulled up. Ethan, mid-toast with Veronica by the central fountain, stopped mid-sentence. Veronica's smile evaporated. I looked only at my ex-husband. I walked with a calm devastation. Leo and Clara ran ahead, looking for the dessert table. Audrey, Ethan said, his voice too loud, too fake. You're here. You look fantastic. Ethan. Veronica. Congratulations. My voice was low. Perfect. Who's your friend? Veronica asked, her voice sharp, eyeing Julian's expensive suit. Julian stepped forward. Julian Vance, pleased. And I'm not her friend. I'm her fiancé. A gasp ran through the guests. Ethan was speechless. Ethan recovered, forcing a smile. You never mentioned you were engaged, Audrey. Ethan, we've been apart for 4 years. I don't owe you an explanation. Besides, I've been busy cleaning up my life and fighting for justice. The word justice hit him. What do you mean, Audrey? Did you come to my wedding to cause trouble? No. I came because you invited me. You said no hard feelings, and I'm here to prove I don't have any. My life is magnificent. My children are well. My future is bright. Veronica snapped. She's here for revenge, Ethan. It's obvious. I laughed. Revenge? Why, Veronica? Because he took away a man who stole from me in the divorce. A man who cheated on me with my best friend? No. Revenge is cheap. This, however, is karma, and I'm simply watching. I pulled a single envelope from my small designer clutch, the legal notification my lawyer had sent earlier that day. This is a wedding gift. It's the reopening of our divorce case. Asset fraud, false statements. I hope the wedding was worth it, because your financial problems have just begun, darling. Ethan snatched the envelope. His eyes scanned the text. His face turned an ashen white. This is a lie. You have no proof. Julian has everything, I said calmly. Your lawyer, Mr. Miguel, documented it all, didn't he? You can't hide anymore. The silence was deafening. I turned to Julian. Darling, could you get the children? It's time to go. I walked up to Ethan. I wished you a happy life, Ethan, but I didn't think you'd be foolish enough to choose our anniversary to marry the woman you risked everything for. July 20th was always mine, and now it will be yours. The day karma finally arrived. I left on Julian's arm with the twins. I didn't look back. My revenge wasn't the chaos I left behind. It was the calm with which I walked away. Part 5. The fruits of truth and redemption. 3 months later, the divorce settlement was finalized. Fair, equitable, and legally binding. I got everything I should have 4 years ago. The house was sold. Assets correctly divided, and child support increased. I felt free. That was better than winning. I was looking for a new, bigger apartment. Julian offered to help, but I declined. I had to do this myself. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Miss Harper. This is Veronica Jennings. Or just Veronica now, I suppose. Oh, hello. Are you all right? Veronica laughed bitterly. Not even a little. But I wanted to call and thank you. Thank you for telling the truth. My father showed me everything. The financial fraud, the hidden assets, the lies. I had no idea. I'm sorry you had to find out like that, at your wedding. Better than finding out 5 years in, after wasting more of my life, after we had children. You tried to warn me, didn't you? 4 years ago. I did. I thought you were just bitter, jealous. I'm sorry. I was awful to you. I helped destroy your marriage. You don't have to apologize to me. Yes, I do. He doesn't love anyone. He just uses people, and when they stop being useful, he moves on. She broke off. I have to hang up. My father's lawyers are handling the annulment. But I wanted you to know, you saved me from making the same mistakes you did. Thank you. 6 months later, I bought a 3-bedroom house with a yard. Not huge, not luxurious, but it was mine. The twins played outside with our new golden retriever, Saul. Julian was on the grill, the pancakes no longer lopsided. I looked around at my life, my people, my home. They say the best revenge is living well. But that wasn't quite right. The best revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was realizing you didn't need it. It was building a life so full, so genuinely happy, that the past couldn't touch it. That night, Julian and I sat on the new balcony. Do you ever regret getting involved with me? With all my chaos? I asked. Never. Not for a second. Even when you were pushing me away, especially then, because that's when you needed someone the most. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I love you, I said. The first time I'd said it out loud. I love you too. I fell asleep in his arms, dreaming of open doors, infinite possibilities, and a future that belonged to me. I realized I had spent 4 years waiting for Ethan to see my worth, but the truth was, his opinion never mattered. The only one that did was mine. And finally, I saw myself clearly, not as someone's ex-wife, not as someone's mother, not as someone's fiancée. Just as Audrey Harper. Imperfect, flawed, sometimes scared. But enough. Always enough. Final call to action. What was the most satisfying part of Audrey's comeback? Was it the private jet, the emerald dress, or the look on Ethan's face? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story inspired you to stand up for yourself, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more stories of justice. Part 6. New Dawn Mada. The big question. If you're just tuning in, welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment below about what you think should happen next in Audrey and Julian's life. Let's keep the energy going. The quiet, mirror the storm 6 months after that chaotic wedding. Audrey's life had settled into an almost unbelievable rhythm of peace. The 3-bedroom house she bought with her settlement money in Westchester was filled with the laughter of Leo and Clara, and the cheerful yaps of their golden retriever, Saul. The walls were no longer ones of scarcity, but a foundation of stability and self-reliance. Though Julian was often away due to his global tech business, his presence was always strong. He wasn't a showy boyfriend, he was a partner, always on time for FaceTime calls, always listening to the minutia of Leo's math homework or Clara's art project. "Are you sure you don't want me to cover that roof repair?" Julian asked one evening on a video call. "I could wire the funds right now." Audrey smiled. "I'm sure. Thank you. It's in my budget. I need the feeling of doing it myself. That's what Ethan always tried to take away. I get it, and I respect it. Just remember, you don't always have to fight alone." The new normal. Audrey's new normal was anything but the boring existence she had once feared. She kept her part-time data analysis job, which allowed her to pick up the kids after school. Her friendship with Veronica, who was now a focused art history student at NYU, had blossomed unexpectedly. They met monthly for coffee, trading advice on starting over. "I can't believe I ever thought you were my enemy," Veronica said one day, stirring her latte. "You gave me a gift I never knew I needed. Freedom. Don't forget, that's a gift you gave yourself by listening to the truth," Audrey replied. Audience checkpoint. If you were Audrey, would you stay in your current stable job, or would you pursue a bigger dream and going back to college, now that you have financial independence? Share your choice. The custody conundrum. Leo and Clara's relationship with Ethan had changed. He was quieter, more patient. Perhaps the shift in his finances had forced him to face reality. But he was still Ethan. One evening, Ethan called. "Audrey, I know you don't want to hear this, but I want to take the kids to Europe this summer. My friend's yacht in Greece. First-class tickets, of course." Audrey took a breath. "Ethan, we already agreed on the summer schedule. Plus, you know you're not legally allowed to take them out of the country per the agreement." "Oh, come on, Audrey. I have the money. I just want to give them an experience. You know you can't." A flash of anger crossed Audrey's mind. She didn't feel hurt anymore. She just found it predictable. "Ethan, you seem to forget that you can no longer use money to overshadow the truth. The plan stands. If you want to legally change the agreement, have your lawyer contact Marisol." She hung up. She didn't need Julian to intervene. She handled it. The big question. December, during a surprise romantic trip to Paris, Julian took Audrey to a quiet restaurant. The lights were dim. Snow was falling outside the window. After dinner, Julian pulled out a small box. Audrey felt her heart pound. "Audrey," Julian said, his voice deep and earnest. "I've loved you since the moment you spilled coffee all over my laptop. You were exhausted, anxious, and clearly overwhelmed, yet you laughed anyway. You are the strongest, most resilient person I know, and you are magnificent." He opened the box. Inside was a simple, elegant platinum band with a single, breathtaking emerald-cut diamond. We've built a life, and we've built a family. I don't want to be Uncle Jay anymore, and I don't want to be your partner. I want to be your husband. I want to build a real future with you, out in the open, forever. Audrey Harper, will you marry me? Audrey's vision blurred. This wasn't just a proposal. It was a promise of security, a declaration that she was worthy of forever. It was everything Ethan said she was not. "I'm ready, Julian," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, 1,000 times. Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. It was heavy, beautiful, and completely eclipsed the cheap band Ethan had given her so many years ago. It felt like justice made real. "So, what do you think will be the biggest challenge for Audrey and Julian now that they are engaged? The kids? Ethan? Let me know your predictions in the comments. Part 7. The Unveiling and the Future. Hit the like button. If you're thrilled for Audrey, let's celebrate this next chapter. Telling the twins the next morning, back in Westchester, Audrey and Julian gathered Leo and Clara on the couch. "Guys," Audrey started, "Julian and I have some big news." Leo, ever the pragmatic one, asked, "Is Julian moving in with us now?" "He is," Julian answered, smiling. "But there's more." Audrey held out her hand, the emerald ring catching the morning light. "We're getting married," Clara gasped, eyes wide. "Mom, you look like a real princess. Does that mean you can wear the emerald dress again?" "I think I'll buy a new dress, sweetie, but yes." Leo, however, was quiet. "Does that mean Julian will be our dad?" Julian knelt down immediately, meeting Leo's gaze. "No, Leo. You already have a dad, and he loves you. I will never try to be him. I will only ever be Julian. I'll be an extra person who loves you, who is here for your math projects, and who makes your mom laugh. Is that okay?" Leo thought for a moment. "Yeah, because Julian listens when I talk about patterns. Dad always zones out. So, yes, Julian can stay." Audrey's heart swelled. Acceptance. It was complete. Ethan's reaction and final retreat. The news spread fast. Ethan found out not from Audrey, but from his mother, Patricia. He called Audrey, his voice cold and furious. "You're marrying him? You're moving in? You deliberately hid this man for 2 years, and now you parade him around?" "I hid him to protect my children from you, Ethan," Audrey said, standing her ground. "You're welcome to contact my lawyer regarding any changes to the visitation schedule. But this conversation is over." A week later, Marisol called. "Ethan's lawyer is requesting to formalize a new custody agreement. He's not fighting the engagement, Audrey. He's retreating. He knows he can't win this battle of stability." Ethan realized that Julian, the billionaire, represented more than money. He represented a commitment and presence that Ethan had never given his children. The true happily ever after 6 months later. Audrey and Julian married in a small ceremony in their new backyard, the grass green and the air smelling of jasmine. Leo and Clara were the ring bearer and flower girl, ecstatic to be involved. Audrey wore a simple cream-colored silk dress, ironically, the color of the painful invitation, but now redefined by sorrow. She stood next to Julian, looking out at the small group. Dahlia, Veronica, Marisol, Marco, and even a tearful Patricia. This was the ultimate victory. Not the public humiliation, not the financial settlement, but the ability to choose happiness entirely on her own terms, without fear or apology. Audrey looked at Julian, the man who saw her at her worst, and believed she was worthy of his best. "I love you, Julian," she whispered. "I love you, Audrey. Let's go home." They walked back into their house, their chaos, their perfect, ordinary life. And Audrey knew with absolute certainty that she was free. Final words of wisdom. Audrey's story teaches us that your value is never defined by those who couldn't see it. The biggest revenge is not destroying your enemy, but successfully building a life so beautiful that they are irrelevant. If you feel inspired by Audrey's journey from being broken to absolutely magnificent, leave a comment with the emoji. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of ultimate justice. Thank you. Part 8. Consolidating the Family and the Unexpected Offer. If you've made it this far, you're a true fan of the comeback story. Hit the like button and tell me what job you think Julian should offer Audrey. Let's get creative. The honeymoon phase. The wedding was small, but the impact was monumental. 6 months into their marriage, Julian moved his primary residence to Westchester. The blending of the two families, the fast-paced global life of a tech mogul and the stable PTA meeting schedule of a mother, was an exercise in compromise. Julian had a dedicated office wing installed in the house, connected via encrypted satellite, allowing him to manage his empire from home. He insisted on dropping Leo and Clara off at school every Tuesday, calling it his anchor day. Audrey, now Mrs. Vance, found herself wrestling with her identity. She had fought so hard for her independence, and now she was married to a man whose wealth could swallow her whole. "I'm finding it hard to justify my part-time job, Julian," Audrey confessed one night. "The money is nominal now, but if I quit, who am I? I don't want to be the wife who does lunch." Julian looked at her seriously. "You are Audrey Harper, the woman who survived Ethan and rebuilt an entire life from $800 a month. You are the architect of your own happiness. Your job isn't to justify your existence to anyone, especially not to me. Why don't you start working on something that actually interests you?" Audience checkpoint. How do you think Audrey can maintain her fierce independence while being married to a billionaire? Is it possible, or does the money always complicate things? Comment below. The Leo-Clara test. The biggest challenge wasn't Ethan, who had faded into quiet compliance, but the children. Leo, now 10, began to struggle with the disparity between their life and his friends. "Why does Julian have to have a driver when we can just take a regular cab?" Leo asked one afternoon. "People stare at the black car, Mom," Audrey explained patiently. "Julian's job requires him to be discreet and safe, sweetie. It's part of his work. But you are right. Sometimes it feels too much. Let's make a rule. No driver for school runs, only our regular car." Julian, overhearing this, immediately implemented the no school run driver rule, further solidifying his commitment to their normal life. However, Clara, now 9, presented the opposite challenge. She became obsessed with Julian's private jet, the Challenger. "Can we fly the Challenger to Diana's house instead of driving?" Clara would plead. "It's faster, and Uncle Jay said the stewardess makes rainbow cookies." Audrey realized the line between privilege and entitlement was dangerously thin. She and Julian had a serious conversation. They decided to implement the giving back rule. For every extravagant trip or purchase, the children had to dedicate time to a local charity. The unexpected business proposal. A year after the wedding, Julian's company, Vance Global Tech, was launching a major initiative, a charitable foundation dedicated to supporting women entrepreneurs escaping domestic abuse or financial hardship, specifically targeting women needing legal aid, business mentorship, and seed funding. Julian asked Audrey to meet him at his office in the city, the first time he had requested a formal business meeting. "Audrey," Julian began, pushing a leather-bound folder across the table. "I need a president for the Phoenix Fund." Audrey raised an eyebrow. "Julian, you know I can't run a multi-million-dollar foundation. I was doing data entry last year." "Exactly," Julian countered. "You are not a career charity administrator. You are the perfect candidate. You understand the shame, the fear, the legal loopholes, and the necessity of financial independence better than anyone. You lived the case study." He continued, his eyes earnest. "The women we help don't need another suit telling them what to do. They need someone who can look them in the eye and say, I know exactly how you feel, and I got out. Audrey picked up the folder. The salary was significant, the responsibility immense. It was a chance to turn her trauma into purpose, a way to ensure that the hell she endured with Ethan would save other women. It's not just a job, Audrey, Julian concluded softly. It's your legacy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you think Audrey should accept this incredible offer. Let's see if she returns to the corporate world. The decision. Audrey took a week to think. She spoke to Dahlia, who urged her to take the role. She spoke to Marisol, who offered her legal expertise. And most importantly, she spoke to her own heart. She realized her fear wasn't about the job's complexity. It was about accepting a role that truly matched her worth. A worth she had spent years believing did not exist. She walked into Julian's home office on a Monday morning. Julian was on a call, his voice low, discussing a satellite launch. When he hung up, he looked at her expectantly. "Julian," Audrey said, placing the folder back on his desk. "I will take the job, but I have 2 conditions." "Name them." "1. I report to the board, not to you. My decisions must be mine, free of any spousal influence." "Agreed. That's good governance." 2, Audrey continued, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. "I am going to get my master's degree in nonprofit management. I want the knowledge to match the experience. I will lead this foundation, but I will do it the right way." Julian stood up, walked around the desk, and kissed her soundly. "You are absolutely magnificent, Mrs. Vance. Welcome aboard, President Harper Vance. Now, let's go change the world." The battle for justice was over. The work for purpose had just begun. A final call to action. Audrey is now the president of the Phoenix Fund. What kind of program should she launch first to help women escape financial abuse? Give me your best ideas in the comments. Let's help her change the world. Part 9. The Ascendancy and the Perfect Circle. Audrey is taking over the world. If you believe in second chances and strong women, hit the subscribe button now and like this video. Your support powers the Phoenix Fund. The Phoenix rises. 2 years into her role as president of the Phoenix Fund, Audrey was unrecognizable from the terrified woman staring at a cream-colored envelope. She was a force. Her lived experience gave her an authority no MBA could match. Her first major initiative, the Bridge to Business program, became a national success. It provided emergency legal aid to finalize divorce custody agreements, and then granted low-interest microloans and mentorship to help survivors launch small businesses. Audrey's days were a whirlwind. Early morning classes for her master's program, midday board meetings, and evening calls with international partners. Julian was her biggest cheerleader, taking pride in her success and handling the household logistics with his characteristic calm. "You look exhausted, President Vance," Julian teased one night as she collapsed onto the couch. "I am," she sighed, "but I'm good exhausted. I helped 3 women today get back their retirement accounts that their ex-husbands tried to hide. It's exhilarating." The unexpected collaboration. One afternoon, Audrey was reviewing a potential mentorship partner for the Bridge to Business program. She froze when she saw the name on the application. Veronica Jennings. Veronica, now graduated and working as a gallery curator, had started a side venture helping artists manage their finances, a direct response to her own past financial naivete. Audrey called her immediately. "Veronica, I just saw your application. Are you serious about mentoring?" "Absolutely," Veronica replied, her voice firm. "I want to help women avoid the kind of man Ethan is. He thought he took everything, but he actually gave me the best education, knowing exactly what red flags look like. I want to teach that." Audrey smiled. The woman who had inadvertently helped ruin Audrey's first marriage was now her most valuable partner in helping other women escape similar situations. The circle was complete. Audience checkpoint. How powerful is it that Audrey and Veronica are now working together? Do you think they could ever be true best friends? Or will the past always keep them apart? Share your thoughts. A visit from the past. Audrey rarely saw Ethan, but their relationship was now polite and functional for the children. However, a major development brought him back into Audrey's orbit unexpectedly. Ethan's business had continued to struggle, leading to a quiet restructuring. He was forced to sell his lavish Manhattan apartment and downsize. Significantly, he called Audrey, not with anger, but with a weary resignation. "Audrey, I'm moving. I'm taking a job in Boston. It's a fresh start, and I need it." "Boston is far, Ethan. How will we manage the 50-50 custody?" Audrey asked, her voice neutral. "I know. That's why I'm calling. I want to propose a new schedule, extended visits during all holidays and summers, and you get full custody during the school year. I can't provide the stable routine they need right now. They need your home." It was the ultimate admission of defeat, not just financial, but paternal. He was willingly giving up the control he had fought so viciously for. "I appreciate your honesty, Ethan," Audrey said. "Send the proposal to Marisol. We'll review it." When she hung up, she didn't feel triumph. She felt a profound sadness for the man he had become, but overwhelming gratitude for the peace he was giving her children. The true legacy. On a rainy Sunday afternoon, Audrey was curled up on the couch, reviewing grant proposals. Leo was doing homework beside her, and Clara was drawing. Clara looked up. "Mom, can I talk to you about my art project?" "Of course, sweetie. I'm drawing a woman who is a superhero, but she doesn't have a cape. She wears a really fancy green dress, and she's carrying a sword. But the sword is actually a giant pen." "But Audrey laughed. "That sounds like a wonderful superhero. What's her power?" "Her power," Clara said, serious, "is that she tells the truth, and she makes things fair, and she helps other people make their own houses." Audrey's eyes welled up. It wasn't the millions, or the private jet, or the fancy ring that impressed her children. It was the legacy of honesty and resilience. Julian walked in, holding 3 mugs of hot chocolate. He saw the look on Audrey's face. "What is it, my magnificent president?" "I think I finally understand what my purpose was in all of this, Julian," Audrey whispered, pulling Clara close. "It wasn't to win the divorce. It was to teach them how to define justice." Julian handed her the mug. "You taught us all, my love. You taught us all." The rain outside felt cleansing. Audrey closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of the chocolate, the weight of her daughter, and the solid presence of her husband. Her life was no longer defined by the chaos of a broken marriage, but by the quiet, powerful strength of a life well lived. Final call to action. What do you think of Ethan's final decision? Was it growth or just necessity? Tell me your opinion. And if this story brought you joy, please hit that like button and subscribe before you go. Part 10, Legacy Defined and the Next Big Leap. Welcome back, loyal fans. Audrey is soaring. Before we continue, drop a comment with your favorite character's name. Julian, Audrey, or the kids. Let's see who's the audience favorite. 5 years later. The teens. 5 years flew by. Leo and Clara were teenagers, 13 and 12, navigating middle school, homework, and social pressures, but with a bedrock of stability Audrey had ensured. Leo, a mathematically gifted student, often consulted Julian on coding projects, treating his stepfather as an endless source of challenging puzzles. Clara, a budding artist, had her work displayed in the Phoenix Fund offices, a testament to her talent and Audrey's commitment to nurturing it. The Bridge to Business program, under Audrey's leadership, had expanded globally, with successful chapters in London and Toronto. Audrey had successfully defended her master's thesis on the economic independence as a path to survivor resilience. Julian watched his wife, now Dr. Audrey Harper Vance, deliver a keynote speech at a major foundation gala. She stood on stage, radiant in a sapphire dress, speaking with the confidence of someone who had not just survived, but rewritten the playbook. He realized he hadn't just married a woman, he had married a movement, the unexpected alliance. Audrey's annual strategy meeting for the Phoenix Fund was always intense. This year, the focus was on expanding legal aid access to vulnerable populations. During the discussion, a new board member spoke up. Dr. Vance, I believe we need a stronger voice in Washington, D.C. to lobby for federal protections against asset hiding in divorce cases. We need someone who understands the political machinery but has a survivor's heart. Audrey nodded. I agree, but finding that person is nearly impossible. Perhaps not. The board member smiled. I've been in contact with Marisol Torres. She's been lobbying behind the scenes for years and is tired of the legal fight being limited to the courts. She's proposing a leap into the political arena. Audrey felt a jolt of pride and excitement. Marisol, her loyal shark of a lawyer, going to Washington. It was the perfect escalation of their long-fought war for justice. Ethan's quiet life. Ethan, now established in a mid-level management role in Boston, maintained his relationship with the children primarily through long holiday visits. The children often reported that he was fine, quiet, and works a lot. One Thanksgiving, during a handoff at a halfway point, a comfortable airport lounge, Ethan pulled Audrey aside. Audrey, he said, looking older, worn, but strangely lighter. I just wanted to tell you. I saw that keynote you gave online. It was powerful. You're doing amazing work. Audrey accepted the compliment without hesitation. Thank you, Ethan. The mission is important. I never saw this in you, he admitted softly. I just saw the wife, the mother. I apologize for that failure of vision. I know, Ethan, Audrey replied, her voice gentle. And I forgive you. For the children's sake, and for my own peace. Now. No needs to catch his flight, huh? It wasn't a moment of reconciliation, but of mutual closure. Ethan was no longer a villain. He was just a footnote in a spectacular life story. Action point. Forgiveness or revenge? Audrey chose forgiveness for peace. What would you have chosen? Tell me in the comments. The final divan-defining moment. Audrey was preparing for a critical trip to Silicon Valley to secure major funding. Julian had promised to take the kids camping while she was away. She packed her bag, looking at the life she had built. A devoted husband, successful career, and 2 happy, well-adjusted children. Just before leaving, Julian walked into the bedroom, holding 2 small envelopes. What are these? Audrey asked. Leo and Clara received their acceptance letters, Julian announced. Audrey opened the envelopes, her hands trembling slightly. They weren't college acceptances, but from 2 prestigious, highly competitive private high schools. Leo was accepted into the elite science academy, and Clara into the renowned arts and leadership school. They did it, Audrey whispered. They earned it. Julian wrapped his arms around her. They had the foundation, my love. The stability, the vision, the justice. You made sure of that. Audrey leaned her head against his chest, tears of joy welling up. The green dress revenge, the legal battles, the fear, the struggle. It was all worth it for this moment. Her legacy wasn't just the foundation she ran, but the resilience and opportunity she had secured for her children. I have to go, Audrey said, wiping her eyes. But I'm coming home soon. Always, Julian promised. Audrey stepped into the private jet, no longer feeling like an imposter, but as the woman who had earned her seat. She was flying not for revenge, but for the future, carrying the weight of her past trauma and transforming it into unstoppable purpose. The perfect circle was complete. Audrey's journey is the ultimate inspiration. If you loved seeing her find peace, purpose, and love, please hit that like button one last time and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories. Thank you for reading. Part 11, Legacy and the Eternal Sunset. This is the grand finale of Audrey's incredible journey. If you've been with us since the beginning, thank you. Hit subscribe and like to honor her story of resilience. A decade of purpose and years melted into the past. Audrey Vance, now in her late 50s, stood on the national stage not just as the president of the Phoenix Fund, but as a leading voice in economic justice and survivor empowerment. Marisol Torres, following her own bold career move, was now serving as a powerful congressional representative, championing the very federal laws Audrey had once only dreamed of. The Phoenix Fund had become a philanthropic powerhouse, transforming thousands of women's lives across North America and Europe. Audrey's initial trauma was now her greatest strength, a wellspring of empathy and unyielding resolve. She maintained an honest relationship with her children. Leo was excelling in his final year at MIT, and Clara was a successful gallery director in London, balancing her art career with a passion for philanthropy, often consulting with her mother. The return to Soho. One quiet autumn afternoon, Julian surprised Audrey. He drove her not to their beautiful Westchester estate, but to a small, familiar block in Soho, New York City. He stopped the car in front of a completely renovated, yet historically preserved, brownstone apartment building. "I have a board meeting here," Julian said with a straight face. Audrey laughed. "You don't have board meetings in Soho." Julian turned off the engine. "This used to be your old building, didn't it? The one where you stared at that cream-colored invitation." "Yes," Audrey whispered, a faint tremor running through her. "The apartment was on the 3rd floor. I can almost smell the burnt coffee." "I bought the building 3 years ago," Julian confessed. "And I renovated that 3rd-floor apartment, your old one. I've turned it into the Phoenix Fund Global Headquarters for mentorship." Audrey stepped out of the car, speechless. The humble, cramped space where she once felt her life was ending was now the launching pad for countless other women's new beginnings. "The space where the despair started," Julian said, taking her hand, "is where the hope must flourish. It's the most powerful address we could have." The final encounter. Audrey rarely thought of Ethan, but life offered one final, unexpected loop. While attending a minor gala for an arts charity, a favor to Clara, Audrey spotted a familiar, aging figure working near the coat check. It was Ethan. His clothes were neat, but ill-fitting. He was polite, efficient, and completely invisible. He was working a side job to make ends meet, a quiet life of anonymity. He saw Audrey first, radiant, surrounded by admirers, wearing a dazzling gown. He didn't approach. He simply nodded, a look of profound, silent acknowledgement on his face. Audrey walked over to him, her heart filled not with pride, but with a deep, settled peace. "Hello, Ethan," she said softly. He flinched slightly. "Dr. Vance, Mrs. Vance, you look incredible." "Thank you. You too." "How is Boston?" "It's fine. Quiet. I'm proud of Leo and Clara. You raised them well." "We did," Audrey corrected, recognizing his effort. He handed her coat to the attendant. "Enjoy your evening, Audrey. You earned it." She smiled, a genuine, warm smile, free of malice. "You too, Ethan." As she walked away, arm in arm with Julian, she realized there was no triumph left to savor. Ethan was simply a man who made choices, and those choices led him here. She was not a consequence of his actions. She was the creator of her own destiny. The eternal sunset years later. Audrey and Julian sat on a terrace overlooking the Pacific Ocean in their secluded California retreat. Leo, Clara, and their families were coming to visit for the holidays. Audrey leaned against Julian, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The diamond on her hand caught the final rays of light, casting an emerald sheen. "Do you remember that day, Julian?" Audrey asked softly. The day I stared at that invitation and decided to fight? I remember the woman who decided to stop hiding, he corrected. I thought the wind would feel like a roar, Audrey mused. But it feels like a whisper, like peace. The whisper is always stronger, my love, Julian said, kissing her forehead. It's the sound of the world finally moving exactly as you command. Audrey closed her eyes, breathing in the salt air. She had arrived at the end of her story, not as a victim who sought revenge, but as a queen who built a kingdom of purpose. She had saved herself, saved Veronica, saved countless others, and, in a strange twist of fate, even saved Ethan from a perpetual life of pretense. The ultimate revenge was the enduring, magnificent life she built. And it was spectacular. Final call to action. Audrey's story is complete. What is the one word you would use to describe her journey? Courage? Freedom? Legacy? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for following this incredible story from beginning to end. If you loved it, please share it with anyone who needs a little inspiration.